Welcome back to Limitless Sports with Brennan and Dave. We are here for episode number 7 today, and there's a lot of NFL content we're going to get through. We're going to go through the Divisional Playoff recap, a conference championship preview for today, a NFL awards show. We're going to pick our awards, and we're going to give the winner that we think should win and the runner-up. And then we're going to go through, and this is a new segment we're talking about today in honor of Ben's retirement. We're going to do a top 10 quarterbacks of all time, which is a very hard list to make. So, Brennan, how are you feeling for today? What do you think is going to happen today?
Dave, I'm feeling pretty good. You know, it's always fun to be here early mornings with you in studio. We have a lot to talk about today.
We do. So let's just jump into it. One of the best playoff weekends I've ever seen in my life.
You know what? It was balanced. There was low-scoring games. There was high-scoring games. There was mid-scoring games.
It was nuts.
Great weekend. Great weekend.
So let's jump in and let's talk about the first game. So the weekend opened up with the Titans versus the Bengals. And I knew from the get-go that the Titans could not get it done. And then what did I say last week? I said if you can get Ryan Tannehill to turn the ball over,
3 interceptions.
They're going to lose.
You know what? They put a lot of stock into him when they brought him in, you know, and then he had
He's
one or
not
two
a bad
good
quarterback, but he's not a winner.
He can't manage. He can manage to win games, but when it comes to the big game, he's not doing it.
No, absolutely not.
You know, he got them to the AFC Championship game, what was it, 3 years ago against the Chiefs?
Yeah.
They got up, like, what was it, by 10 early. Chiefs came back and stormed back to win, beat them. But
well, what else we said? We said that Derrick Henry needed to go for 100 yards. He ran for 62. So, I mean,
everyone knew he was going to be rusty coming into that game.
He averaged 3.1 yards a carry. Like, I knew he just wasn't himself.
But you know, that's all Mike Fred. Well, you still had good backs behind him in
well, look at Foreman.
Foreman. I was going to say
4 carries, 66 yards. Don't get me wrong.
They should have started feeding him the ball so they can get him and Henry 100 combined, maybe. You know.
A.J. Brown had a heck of a game. Great game. But, I mean, when you open the game out and you throw over the first pass and get intercepted.
You thought this might have been the team from the AFC this year because they went out and got Julio preseason.
He just didn't. He never perspired.
He didn't fit in. You know, he was nagged by injuries all year. He's on the latter half of his career. You know, good season by the Titans still, but another disappointing one from them.
I mean, it was just a weird low-scoring game, though. Like 9-6 at half.
9-6 final.
Yeah,
19-6.
So then each team scored 10 points in the second half. It was just weird, but there were just so many turnovers. I mean, what was the final total of turnovers? 4?
A lot.
Burrow had, 1?
There was a couple games like that this past week. We'll get into that Los Angeles-Tampa Bay game, you know, here after the 49ers and Green Bay game. But, yeah, a lot of turnovers on Tennessee's end. Yeah, they sacked Burrow 9 times, you know, and pressured him a lot, and they still managed to win the football game. Says a lot about Cincinnati. Like I said before, I still think they're a year ahead of schedule.
Yeah, you know, those 9 sacks, if you look at just the yardage alone, that's 68 yards they gave up in sacks and pushing them back. And they still had, let's see. What was the final stat line? 353 yards of total offense. But what's sad is, I hate the sack statistic because it takes off the passing yards. So they say that they had 353 yards of total offense. Burrow technically threw for 348, but he lost those 68 yards from sacks. Like, his individual statistics shows 348 passing yards. But in terms of the team, which is insane. I love to look at a statistic to see how many yards he's lost all year long. It has to be nuts.
Game-winning field goal as time expired. Remember that. Game-winning field goal as time.
Did you see the quote the kid made on the sideline?
Which one?
The McPherson quote. He went out to Burrow before he went out to kick it.
That's why he drafted a kicker.
No, he said something to the fact of, I'm going to go make this. We're going to the AFC Championship. Goes out, bang. So, great game. Great game. I think Cincinnati's that good. I agree they're still a year away. I think if they can take the Kansas City approach of last offseason and retool their offensive line this offseason, they could be unstoppable. I mean, look what Nixon's doing without an offensive line.
There's going to be some offensive linemen available via free agency. They're probably going to use a first-round pick on an offensive tackle, I'd assume, to protect Burrow's blind side. If they don't, that's a problem there.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully they...
Everyone thought it was a problem this year they took Chase, but, no one's bitching about that anymore.
Mm. All right, let's jump into game number 2. A game that shocked me. 13-10 victory for the 49ers.
What did I say? If they can come out and run the football like they have, and Jimmy Garoppolo can play average, they have a shot. But, their touchdown came off of special teams. I honestly would be shocked if they got blown out today. They went into the frozen tundra and beat them. And
that's where it's just like, and I don't understand. I do not understand this game because you look at the passing yards.
You watch the first drive of that game. Green Bay went right down the field.
Right down the field scored, didn't they?
Went right down the field and scored a touchdown. They only managed 3 points the rest of the game. And then people were saying, this isn't Aaron Rodgers' fault. This isn't Aaron Rodgers' fault. You're one of the 3 best quarterbacks in the NFL. You, Brady, Mahomes. That's a problem. Scoring 10 points in the elements you're used to playing in.
Listen,
at your own place.
Here's the yardage for every drive. So they drove down the field and scored 69 yards.
Okay.
Next play, I'm just going to talk about their series. 5 plays, 33 yards fumble.
Okay.
3 plays, 4 yards punt. 3 plays, negative 4 yards punt. 6 plays, 16 yards punt. 6 plays, 75 yards, and I think that's when they missed the field goal. Yeah, it was blocked.
That was right before half.
That
could have been, 10-3?
That would have been 10-0.
Oh, 10-0.
They didn't score yet. So there's 3 points left on the board.
So there's the tie.
Mm-hmm. Then they came out. San Francisco scored, but they kicked a field goal. Another 3 plays, 6 yards, punt. 14 plays, 57 yards, and a field goal. And guess how much time they wasted? 9 minutes. That's where it goes. Like, if you look at, they only had 3 possessions at the end of 4 possessions in the second half. 3 play, 6 yard punt. 14 play, 57 yard field goal. The block punt touchdown. And another 3 plays, negative 6 yard punt. That's it.
To say something about the San Francisco 49ers, they have a kicker that was used to kicking, in areas like that, like Green Bay.
Where was he from?
Robbie Gould with Penn State, so mind you. So he had that experience in college, and then he kicked for the Bears for all those years.
You're right.
So, he was used to that his whole life, Penn State, Chicago, goes to the, live his best life in San Francisco, probably end his NFL career there.
But see, here's where it's a little weird, because if you look at, the stat line,
Green Bay beat them.
Yeah.
Debo had a hell of a game,
But you look at, the top 3-headed monster of Green Bay. Rodgers throws for 225. Doesn't throw a touchdown pass, but that's okay for him. Aaron Jones ran for 41 yards, but he had 129 yards in passing.
You mean receiving?
Receiving, yeah. Devontae Adams had 90 yards, 9 catches.
As soon as they got that field goal block before halftime, I knew that game was over. Was that Jones on that 60-yard wheel route?
Yeah, 75-yard long pass. That's probably that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So
but then here's what I'm saying though. So Rodgers had 20 completions. 18 of them went to those 2. Nobody else caught the ball. Alan Lazard caught 1 catch for 6 yards, and was it Mercedes Lewis? Yeah, 1 catch, 0 yards.
You know what I think hurt Green Bay a lot this year? They lost Robert Tonyan early in the year. That's Rodgers' security blanket for underneath routes. The quick slants, the drags.
And truly, Debo didn't really have that big of a game.
He scored a touchdown, didn't he? No, he didn't.
He had 10 rushes for 30. They had 106 yards on the ground. That was it. They had 131 yards passing, went down to 106 because of sacks. Then 106 rushing. It's nuts. But they had sacks. They sacked Aaron Rodgers 5 times.
Did Aaron Rodgers throw an interception in that game? Or no turnovers from him?
No,
I couldn't remember. I don't know why I thought he threw an interception.
Bosa played well. He had 2 sacks. What's the Armstead guy's name? Eric? Yeah, he had 2 sacks. They produced up front. But I don't know. I think that's the last game you saw playing
Packers uniform, maybe.
Yeah.
I do too. They're saying that Denver and Pittsburgh are the front runners to get him. Not really a big fan of him coming to Pittsburgh.
I will say
I think Denver is ready to win. They're ready to win now. I think that makes the most sense for him. But I get you want to play for Mike Tomlin. I get it.
Right. I would love to see him. Don't get me wrong. But I don't want a stopgap kind of a guy, and that's what he would be. He's too old in his career. We're not ready. He doesn't want to rebuild, and I don't think if you put Aaron Rodgers in our offense,
no,
we're in the Super Bowl.
No.
Aaron Rodgers and 3 more pieces, different story.
Mind you, that game too, Dave. Game-winning field goal as time expired. That was every game this weekend was like that. Well, the Rams game-winning field goal as time expired. The Chiefs tied their game with time expired.
And it should not have happened, and we're going to talk about that next soon. All right, let's jump to the Sunday game. Man, these Sunday games were great. Rams beat the Bucs 30-27. What was the score? It was 27-6, right? The largest margin. Was it
6 or was it 3?
Oh, 27-3. You're right. 27-3, and Tom Brady stormed back.
You know what? And this is. I like the Rams. I like Sean McVay. I like Matthew Stafford. Liked him for all those years in Detroit, and then when he was down in Georgia in college. And this is McVay's problem. He doesn't know how to keep his foot on the gas.
Well, and you look at that. So
started playing conservative a little too early.
They go 27-6, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or 27-3. Tampa Bay drives down to his field goal. Next LA possession, one pass to Cooper Kupp, fumbles the ball, gets it back. And they score. Next possession, 3 plays, 0 yards, punt. Next possession, 1 play, fumbled. Next possession, missed field goal. 9 plays, so it wasn't a bad drive. Then a 3-play, 3-yard punt, and a 2-play, 6-yard fumble. I mean, you're right. He couldn't keep the foot on the gas. And I get it, but you got to put the game away.
Mm-hmm.
You have to put the game away.
A lot of turnovers on Los Angeles in the last quarter of that game. Just name 3?
Yeah.
Maybe 4? I think it was 3.
And there was no interceptions, though. It was all fumbles.
Mm-hmm.
Fumbles.
That's not going to win you football games, I think they got away with one there in Tampa. They have a tough game, this week against a division rival. We'll get into that here in a little bit.
I think what's going to save them this week is they don't run the ball really well.
49ers?
No, the Rams. They didn't last week at least. They only had 73 yards, which is it's a good thing. They're not dependent on the run because they can't be dependent on the run today. It's not going to happen. So, phenomenal game for Matt Stafford. He played extremely well. 28 completions, 366 yards, 2 scores. Cooper Kupp did his thing again. 9 catches, 183 yards, and a score.
I want him wide open right down the seam of the field as time is expiring. When they got down there and spiked her, they called timeout.
Yep.
Gay came out there, kicked the game.
Beautiful throws, though. Beautiful throws.
Matthew Stafford is a real one.
Tom didn't play bad either.
No, he didn't. And you know what?
But then you look at his running game. They only ran the ball with Fournette. Nobody else had a carry. Tom had 1 carry. Must have been a sneak. Nobody else had a carry. They didn't depend on the run. Tom threw the ball, his 44-year-old self, 54 times. I'm sorry, Byron Leftwich. That's a little bit on you. You've got to change things up. Yes, he's dependable, but 54 times? I don't know. Kind of glad to see Tom lose, no offense. I know you're a big Tom lover.
Yeah, that's the news is hard. They're speculating he's going to retire, but he came out and said that's not true. He's still making up his mind, but we'll find out as this week goes on.
All right, let's digest. I wanted to save a lot of time for this one. Let's digest this Bills Chiefs game. 42-36 final in overtime.
What did I say last week? It's a damn shame these two teams are not playing in the AFC Championship.
It was the best matchup.
Mahomes Allen is the new Brady Manning.
100%. So let's just break down and now we're gonna go drive by drive here is what I want to kind of do, and then you can tell me a couple things you want to input as I go. So, Bills drive down, score, touchdown, 7-0. Chiefs answer, 7-0. Okay. 2 punts back to back. Bills then get the ball back, punt again. Then Chiefs go down, score. Then in the second end of the second quarter, they had the ball back. The Bills had the ball back with 1:52 on the clock. They took 7 plays, 75 yards, 115, and scored again. They left 37 seconds on the clock for Mahomes. Kicked it to the end zone. Mahomes drove down and missed the field goal in 37 seconds. End of the second quarter. So we go to halftime. Field goal by the Chiefs. Then a punt. Then the Chiefs scored. And I thought, I was like, uh-oh, this game might be over. They're up by 9. Because they went for 2. And I don't understand why they really went for 2 there. Didn't they go for 2? Oh, no, he missed it. He missed the
That's
field goal.
right.
He missed it. And then I was like, this is over. Then Josh Allen, 75-yard touchdown pass. Beautiful throw. Beautiful throw. Punt. Kansas City kicks a field goal.
So what's the score right now then?
It's 26-21 with 8:55 left in the game.
Okay.
So then, the Bills take 7 minutes to drive down the field. It's a great drive, but they left too much time on the clock. 1 minute, 54 seconds on the clock. After they scored. So it's now 29-26 because they went for 2. Mahomes says, I'm going to answer this. 5 plays, 75 yards, 52 seconds, scores. So it's 33-29. Then I was like, there's just no way that Josh Allen can answer that. I just didn't think it. I mean, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I just don't see it answering. Minute.
When the Chiefs score late like that, or helping the Chiefs score at all in that place erupts. It's the hardest place to play. Eric has the hardest place to play right now.
So there's 1 minute and 2 seconds left on the clock. Josh Allen drives down the field, scores.
Wide open touchdown.
Wide open. 13 seconds left on the clock. What do you do? I know what I do.
Well, my initial thought would be probably I'm going to pooch kick this to about the 10 or the 15. And you said you had 13 seconds left, so that probably cuts that in half to that 6 or 7 second mark. So you have one play.
So I saw this, and I don't like the guy. Todd Haley was on Twitter, and he said the same thing. You pooch it, there goes 6 seconds. You got 7 seconds on the clock. Mahomes gets 2 plays, technically. You know what you do? You tackle the receiver at the line of scrimmage. Oops. Defensive holding. Replay the down. Clock runs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if Mahomes isn't stupid enough to see that, he's waiting for things, and then it just doesn't, the time is expiring. And don't get me wrong, Buffalo's coach, Sean McDermott, great guy. He lost that game. Yes, you can say their defense lost that game, but he
Special
lost
teams
that game.
coordinator, too. He should have thought,
Squib it. I don't care that you have Tyreek Hill. I don't care that you have some of the fastest guys in the world in the Kansas City Chiefs team. Don't touch back. Don't kick the ball in the end zone. Like, you just gave him 13 seconds. 19-yard pass to Hill. Timeout. 25-yard pass to Kelsey. Wide open. That was a defensive mistake. And a field goal. And we go to overtime, and they just drive down. A lot of people are saying they need to change the overtime rules. I agree in an aspect. I hate they don't get a chance in the playoffs. Kind of sucks.
I definitely agree. It needs to be changed. We're always talking about how college football and the NCAA needs to adapt to the NFL. Well, the NFL needs to adapt to the NCAA for once. They finally have, with some targeting calls and, the taunting and, misconducts like that. But they needed to go with the overtime rule, too. I'm not saying, you start at, the 25 like you do in college. Yeah. Start at the opposite 45. Start at the opposite 40. These are better athletes. These are quote-unquote professionals.
Mm-hmm.
You each get 3 tries, and maybe, if they don't like how that goes because the offenses are scoring too much, turn it into a kickoff. Field goal.
I don't like they don't get a chance to answer. I know they changed it so if you drive, so the whole thing was before drive down to get field goal, game's over. So now you have to score a touchdown, but it's still not fair.
No. Especially with a team like that and that offense.
Let it be a shootout. And I'm not saying, I don't want it to turn into a college overtime of 75-72 final. Mm-hmm. I don't want to see that. But
NFL games are too important to end in ties. They're too important. There's not enough of them. You know, they added that 17th game, which was a mistake, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But NFL games are too important to be tied.
I agree. So, I think we're in definite agreement that this game should have been today, not last week. But, man, just crazy atmosphere. So, let's jump in. We're going to change the pace up a little bit, and we're going to go into our NFL awards show. So, coming up, I want to say it's next week. Usually the week of the Pro Bowl, isn't it?
Yes.
They're going to go through and name all their end-of-the-season awards. So, we're going to go through 7 awards today. MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie Offensive Player of the Year, Rookie Defensive Player of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, and Coach of the Year. And we're going to name our runner-up and our overall winner. So, let's work in backward order, can we? And save MVP for last?
Sure. You want to go for Coach of the Year first?
Coach of the Year first. And I want you to kind of leave your... Let's do the runner-up first and say our champion next. So, in my opinion, there are a lot of coaches that should be considered. But in my opinion, there are 2 coaches that deserve this honor.
I'm curious to see where 2 of the 7 is mine.
They both live in the AFC.
Okay, so do mine.
My runner-up, Sean McDermott.
Ooh.
I think, yes, last year they had a great season, but I think he's transformed that team a lot more with his coaching staff around him. I think what's going to be important next year to see with Brian DeBole... How do you pronounce his name? DeBole?
I think so, yeah, Brian DeBole.
Now he's going to be the head coach of the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's going to be a big step for him next year. I think he deserves the runner-up. But I give my coach of the year to the year-away team, Zach Taylor, because of the phenomenal things he's done with Cincinnati Bengals. What do you got?
So my runner-up, Mike Vrabel, Tennessee Titans. Derrick Henry out of the lineup more than half the year.
I thought about
A.J. Brown and Julio Jones banged up all season long, still managed to win 12 games, play good defense.
I can see it.
Mike Vrabel being the runner-up.
Mm-hmm.
My coach of the year, Zach Taylor. Cincinnati Bengals, 10-7 record, won the AFC North, 2 playoff victories so far. Still has the AFC Championship game this afternoon. Very young, talented team that is going to win a lot of games for years to come. But I think he's a year ahead of schedule.
I agree. You're going to see. I'm going to have 3 Bengals win awards today. But all right, comeback player of the year. Brennan, what hat am I wearing right now?
You're wearing an Ohio State Buckeyes hat, Dave. That's your alma mater.
Right. Both of my comeback player of the years have ties to Ohio State. My runner-up has to go to Nick Bosa. Last year, Nick comes in, tears his ACL. Comes back this year ahead of schedule and has a phenomenal year. Phenomenal year. I lost the statistics here, and I'm going to try to pull them up while we're talking. I want to say he had at least 10 sacks. What's the total? Let's see. Oh, this is per game. I need to go to his season stats. 15.5 sacks coming off an injury. 4th in the league. 4 forced fumbles, 40 solo tackles. But it's hard to come back off an ACL. And my comeback player of the year is our ACLs. So, Nick Bosa is my runner-up. And I'm giving my winner to Joe Shiesty. Joe Burrow. Go Tigers. He deserves it. Should never have came back this fast.
Definitely deserves it.
Should never have come back this fast.
When did he blow out his knee last year? Was that
November?
It was like right around Thanksgiving, wasn't it?
Nah, I think it was like around Halloween more. It was like early November. But he came back and fired. I mean, he's playing phenomenal. He's got a swagger with him. You can't even tell he tore his ACL last year. So, Nick Bosa, runner-up. Joe Burrow, take home the comeback player of the year. What do you got?
Everyone knows I'm a quarterback guy. I'm a quarterback guy. I always have and I always will be. So my runner-up, everyone forgets he was hurt last year, Dak Prescott.
Oh, I did forget about that. He did have a phenomenal year.
He almost threw for 4,500 yards, 37 touchdowns, 10 picks, QBR 54.7, which was 9th in the NFL. I mean, Dallas won 12 games this year. Good for them. Got bounced early from the playoffs because that whole team just doesn't know how to win.
No, they don't.
And my comeback player of the year is the same as yours, Joe Burrow, Cincinnati Bengals. 4,600 yards, 34 touchdowns, 14 picks, QBR 54.5, which was 11th in the NFL. Him and Dak had very, very similar numbers. Very close.
I see that. All right,
very close.
Let's jump into
Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Well, I think me and you are both the same on this one.
For our winner, yes.
Who'd you take? Oh, I'm curious to see if you took your runner-up.
I struggled with this runner-up.
So did I, but I picked somebody that I think you might have.
So I went with my runner-up from Alabama.
So is mine.
Is he a corner?
Yes, he is.
Patrick Surtain?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, that's all I could think of. Honestly, when I went down the list, I searched like rookies in the first round of the draft to see who was defensive, and I started pulling names and going. 45 solo tackles, 4 interceptions,
14 passes deflected. That's
14
big.
passes deflected. It was good.
And touchdown.
And yeah, the touchdown. So he had a phenomenal season. There's nobody else really defensively other than our winner.
No,
our winners,
the other star corner that got drafted in the first round, J.C. Horn, Joe Horn's boy, got drafted by the Panthers. What, he tore his Achilles or something?
Yeah.
I can't remember what injury he exactly had, but he got hurt early in the season. He might have been in this conversation for runner-up, but...
There's nobody else really there other than Surtain behind our winner.
Mm-hmm.
Hurts me to say this, but you got to go with Micah Parsons winning the Defensive Player of the Year rookie.
I don't think it really hurts anybody.
Hurts me to say it, but...
Phenomenal.
Phenomenal season.
Everyone,
What was his actual stat line?
So I have 64 solo tackles, 13 sacks, 3 forced fumbles. That's what I put on my stat sheet here.
That's just, for a rookie, insane. You almost could argue that he's a Defensive Player of the Year, not even just Rookie of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
So,
a lot of games for the Cowboys this year.
Agreed. Offensive Rookie of the Year. I went AFC North only.
So did I.
Jesus, we didn't even talk about this.
You know what's funny?
Did you pick Harris as your backup?
As my runner-up, yes,
yeah,
I did. What's funny about this is, when we're wrapping up in the studio, we pull out a scratch pad each, and we're going to talk about, what we're talking about next week, and then, we'll throw ideas off each other all week, texting or via phone calls or whatever. But yeah, this is funny. I took Najee Harris as my runner-up as well.
And then I took Jamar Chase.
I think that was the only option.
Had to. Jamar had a phenomenal year.
Honestly, you could make a case for Najee to be the offensive rookie there just because he ran behind a shit offensive line all year.
Yeah, his statistics.
They found some traction, after week 10, 11, 12 after Thanksgiving time. Mm-hmm. But but yeah, Jamar Chase and Najee Harris, my offensive rookie of the year and my runner-up.
All right, so defensive player of the year. I think we probably have the same two for this one.
Who's your runner-up?
Aaron Donald.
It doesn't even matter how great of a season you have. He's always in the conversation.
100%.
Always.
100%.
He's my runner-up as well.
I think the problem he has now is that his defense has more playmakers than our winner does. They do.
A lot of household names on that.
A lot of household names. You got a lot of things going on behind you and next to you. With Von Miller, that you're still producing, but your name is not as high as our winner is. Without this guy as the winner, I don't think the one team that we're going to talk about wins more than 6 games.
Mm-hmm.
So, winner has to go to TJ.
TJ Watt, outside linebacker, Pittsburgh Steelers.
Ties the sack record. In my opinion,
in less games.
In my opinion, I think he actually beat it. I think there was a sack in that Ravens game that should have been a shared sack and should have gave him a half. I forget where it was. It was this weird awkward sack, but he had a piece of him. I think him and Cam split it. They gave it to Cam. So
5 forced fumbles, 3 fumble recoveries. He had the pick 6 in the Chiefs game.
Yeah, he's just.
That was a scoop and score. My fault.
Score. But all right. Offensive Player of the Year. This was hard for me.
It wasn't that hard for me. I had,
it was
like
hard
I said,
for me.
I'm a quarterback's guy. I'm an offensive guy. So,
Did you go quarterback here?
No, I didn't go quarterback here. But I'm an offensive guy.
Did you go receiver and running back?
Yes.
Who did you go as your runner-up?
Jonathan Taylor, running back. Indianapolis Colts.
I went with Cooper Kupp.
As your runner-up?
Yep. I gave Taylor as the offensive rookie or the player of the year because you take Taylor out of that offense, they're terrible. You take Kupp out of this offense, they still have some playmakers.
They do. Think if you didn't have Kupp and you had Woods and Beckham, not good, not terrible either. But I think Kupp is the best out of those 3.
I agree, he's the best receiver. Yeah.
But yeah, I went
I mean, Jonathan Taylor had a phenomenal year.
1,800 yards, 18 touchdowns, 5.5 yards per carry.
Derrick Henry doesn't get hurt. Derrick Henry's just offensive player of the year.
Derrick Henry doesn't get hurt. Derrick Henry might be in the MVP conversation.
Correct. All right. MVP. I know we're different here. I know we have to be. My runner-up is a player that didn't make the playoffs. And this is a regular season award. But Jonathan Taylor deserves to be the runner-up in the MVP race. I'm sorry. Like I said 2 seconds ago, without him, the most valuable player award, in my opinion,
most valuable to your team.
Most valuable to your team. It doesn't matter how many games you win. Most valuable to your team. I mean, you can argue T.J. Watt in this conversation in the top 5.
And you can argue Cooper Kupp.
Right.
You can argue for a lot of different guys.
So that's where I went with Jonathan Taylor as my runner-up. Who did you have as your runner-up?
I took Matthew Stafford, quarterback of Los Angeles Rams. To everyone out there in Detroit, if anyone hears this from Detroit, you lost a Hall of Famer. You lost your guy. He went out through 41 touchdowns, 17 interceptions, a little bit on the higher end, QBR of 63.7.
His passing yards was 4,800 something.
Oh, almost 5,000. 4,886. You lost the Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? The Hall of Famer is going to get his shot at the Super Bowl this year.
I want to say my winner for last. Who'd you pick as your winner?
Tom Brady. Easy decision. Easy. 5,300 yards, 43 touchdowns. He's 44 years old, 12 interceptions, QBR 68.1. Tampa won, what was it? They won 13-4?
Mm-hmm. I hate to say this, and this is the only award I based off a playoff performance. You're not supposed to, but I did. And I really, 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 really wanted to pick Josh Allen, but I just couldn't do it. But I went with Matthew Stafford.
Did you?
I really think for how he's played this year and how he's transformed that organization. Yes, they were winners before he got there. But
that was the one piece they were missing.
Correct.
You know, Jared Goff is a game manager. He's a game manager.
100%.
Good quarterback, game manager. Not going to win you a ton of games. Got lucky that year he went to the Super Bowl, I think.
Yes, 100%.
Matthew Stafford came in, revolutionized that offense, you know.
You talk about Detroit fans. My roommate in college, Henry, he was a big Detroit fan. Still is. So he's probably kicking himself watching Stafford. He's probably happy to watch Stafford win for Stafford, but not for the Lions. So, all right. Similar. A couple differences, not many. That just shows, I think these races are clear-cut this year. I don't think there's any surprises.
No, I don't think there is either. I think there's a couple other names you can throw in the MVP conversation. You know, Aaron Rodgers, Cooper Kupp, Jonathan Taylor. I mean,
Pat
Mahomes always in the race, but I think it's pretty clear cut this year. It's going to be a quarterback again.
Agreed. All right, let's do some conference championship previews. So, at 3 o'clock today, we've got the Bengals versus the Chiefs. I kind of wish this game would have been the primetime game, not going to lie.
I think everyone does. You know, I'm going to miss probably the first quarter or so because I'm going to be at the hockey game here in a few hours.
Well, you'll probably get...
hockey game starts at 1. This game starts at 3.
You might miss the first couple minutes by the time you get in the car.
I know. That's how I think. Hopefully Pittsburgh can just blow out the Kings today. Then we can leave a little bit early.
Or just start watching it on your phone.
I might do that too. I might rely on you for text updates.
I can do that. All right, so let's preview this matchup. In my opinion, and I last week I slammed the over on the Chiefs and the Bills. The over-under is 54.5. I still might go slam it. I think this is going to be a shootout.
What did you say it was? 54.5?
54.5.
Yeah, I have it going over.
And
it's not even close to the over. It's going over.
I think it's going to be both scores are high 20s, low 30s.
I have someone going upper 30s and someone going low 30s.
That's what I mean. I don't see this being a 20-13 game. I mean, if you go back and you look at their first matchup, it was 34-31. So I don't understand why they picked 54 points because it's like the last one was 65.
And I will say this on the Chiefs' behalf. You know, last week they don't lose Tyrann Mathieu early in that football game. I think there's a little bit different of an outcome.
Is he playing today?
Yes, he's on track to play, they said.
That was
I read that on ESPN this morning, and I saw it on television.
They say he's questionable. I'm looking at the injury report right now.
Yeah, I think
that was my biggest question going into this game is like him and Darrell Williams, are they going to play? So they did say Matthew has not cleared his concussion protocol yet, as of yesterday, but he's expected to do so in advance of today's game. And Darrell Williams has a toe injury; he's questionable. He should be in the game. What do you think?
Well, I think both these teams are really good offensively. Defensively, I think the Bengals are a little bit more sound than the Chiefs. The Chiefs have been giving up, like 26 points a game the past few weeks. They're averaging 42 points scored though a game in their 2 playoff games. Beating Pittsburgh pretty soundly in the first round wild card weekend, and then last weekend, the come from behind victory to beat the Bills in a shootout fashion in overtime.
So you think the Kansas City defense is worse than the Cincinnati defense?
We're talking 1A and 1B here. I mean, there's hairs. Like I said,
actually, Cincinnati gives up 30 more yards a game.
I picked the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. A few weeks ago. Actually, my Super Bowl pick is still alive and well. It's probably actually going to be the Super Bowl.
Wow! As you're talking, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Right.
So the Bengals allow 386 yards a game on defense. Okay. Chiefs allow 354. Bengals allow less points. You're right, 17.5. Chiefs are giving up 28.5. What's crazy is, you look at the breakdown, Chiefs are 28.2 points scored, 28.5 given up.
Those first few weeks, I think, killed them. They lost a couple games blowout fashion to the Titans and a couple other teams. And I mean, from mid-season on, as soon as the Bengals started catching traction, it's been why not us? The Chiefs go 1-3 or 1-4 in their first few weeks, and it's oh my God, the sky is falling. Patrick Mahomes is done. Kelsey's old, or
so
the
Halloween,
defense isn't good.
Halloween weekend, the weekend before was when they lost 27-3 to the Titans. How many losses after that had they had?
I think it's one.
One to the Bengals. Literally, they won every other game.
Yeah, that was the day after Christmas. I think they lost to the Bengals.
Day after New Year's.
Oh, day after New Year's. Sorry, I thought it was the day after Christmas.
Yeah, but literally, they have not lost a game other than the Bengals, which is insane.
That was on the road, tough environment. The Bengals already knew they were in pretty good shape to go to the playoffs. I don't think they had the AFC North clinched yet. I think they clinched it that day.
Yeah, because we need.
I think they clinched it that day. This game's really up in the air. I mean, you're going to see a lot of points. It's going to be a lot of fireworks. I mean, if you enjoyed that Bills-Chiefs game last week, you're really going to enjoy this one this week.
Like we said before we got on this morning, can Cincinnati block and protect?
And that's what it's going to come down to. It's going to come down to in the trenches. Kansas City's defensive line's good.
Yes.
Chris Jones is a dude. He's a dude. Big guy, sacks the quarterback a lot.
My issue is, how many sacks do you think it has to be under for Cincinnati to win? In my opinion, it can't be more than 5.
I was going to say 4.
No,
because you're talking sacks. I mean, you could be in field goal range and get sacked and be knocked out of field goal range. Right. That guy could change your momentum.
I think 5 or 4. It can't be a 9 again. It can't.
No.
And Joe Mixon has to have a nice game, which he can't.
Chiefs' defense is good. It's not great by any means, but their defensive line is good. So you have Frank Clark, you have Chris Jones.
I think a guy on Cincinnati's side that's going to have a big game today is Mike Hilton.
I wouldn't be shocked. I think if Cincinnati wants a prayer in this game, I think they're going to have to force turnovers.
They're going to have to.
At least one.
And it's very hard. Very hard to do that.
Mahomes has been very efficient, since early in the season when he was throwing all the interceptions. I think, fun fact, last week in the Bills-Chiefs game, not one turnover.
Really? I didn't realize it. Wow.
But if you go to the Los Angeles Tampa Bay Buccaneers game,
7.
There's 1,084 of them.
All right, so what do you got for this game?
So, like I said, I picked Kansas City to win the Super Bowl. My Super Bowl pick is still alive and well from the AFC and the NFC representative. I think this is going to come down to experience. I think this is going to come down to in the trenches. I think Cincinnati's about a year away. I think they have a 2 to 5 year window to win one before they have to start paying, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd again, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow, plus stars on the defense. I think Cincinnati makes some rare mistakes today. I think Burrow gets sacked a few too many times. Mahomes doesn't look back. 38-30, Chiefs Kingdom.
Okay.
So I have 68 points being scored in this game.
It's going to be 35-35, right? At the minute 30 left. Cincinnati's going to hit the ball. Joe's going to drive down. Evan McPherson's going to look on the sidelines and say, Coach, we're going to the Super Bowl. Walks out, kicks the game-winning field goal. 38-35.
Wow. In Arrowhead.
Like I told you earlier, I think the reason why it's going to come back to, yes, you said experience. Don't get me wrong. Josh Allen played at Wyoming. Joe Burrow played in the Big Ten and the SEC. I don't see the sound screwing with him. If you saw some videos from practice this week, they were in Paul Brown with all the speakers blaring. People said they could hear it for miles.
I'm not worried about Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, was in the Ohio State roster for years, didn't really get to play, went to LSU, played in some of the toughest stadiums to play at in America, and he was at some of the toughest in the Big Ten too, and the Big House in Penn State, and, Michigan State Stadium. And then, you transfer to the SEC, you go to Alabama, you're playing in Baton Rouge, your home stadium. Mm-hmm. Tennessee's always very loud. Georgia's very loud. The SEC championship game is very loud. So I'm not worried about Burrow in that sense. I'm worried about all these other guys who haven't been there, done that. Yeah. I'm worried about the Boyds, the Higgins. Boyd played in the ACC. The ACC has sucked.
But Boyd's had so-called big games in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. And, T. Higgins, played in the ACC too. But you know what? The ACC was dominated all the years he was there by Clemson. It wasn't even close. They were going,
he was going in the games,
12-0, they were going 11-0, 12-0, whatever. And they weren't even playing in real games.
We'll see. I think it's going to be a heck of a game, though. Better than this next matchup. So 6:30, 49ers come into SoFi, play the Rams.
Almost Super Bowl 56.
So did you know, you probably did, their first matchup, 31-10, the 49ers blew them out.
Yes.
Stafford threw 2 interceptions, and Garoppolo was efficient, only threw 4 incompletions, 2 scores. It's a phenomenal game. Second time around, they go into overtime, 49ers win again, 27-24.
The Rams were up in that game. They were up. They were up big too, weren't they?
I think so. I can say this and keep this one kind of short. You can't beat somebody 3 times.
It's a delicacy.
You can't beat somebody 3 times.
I saw this morning on Facebook, actually, teams that have done it. Tennessee did it to go to the Super Bowl when they went against the Rams back in, I think was that 2000? It was 2000.
Maybe.
Super Bowl 35,
sounds
maybe?
Maybe.
I think it was. Tennessee swept the Jaguars 3 times. Pittsburgh, 2008, beat the Ravens 3 times.
Yeah.
So it's a delicacy. You don't see it that often. I think the 49ers are a good football team. I don't think they're a great football team.
I just don't trust their offense enough.
If they come out today and light it up and light the world on fire, I'll take back everything I say, but I just don't think they have what it takes to go in there.
No.
To SoFi Stadium a second time when they should have lost the first time and probably shouldn't even been in the postseason. Actually, no, they would have been the 7th seed, so they would have had to play. Who was the 2nd seed? They would have went and played Tampa Bay, and they would probably have lost. I don't see them going there and do it. Fun fact, San Francisco is 6-0 against the Rams the last 6 times they have played.
Wow.
Did you pick it all?
No.
Good.
That doesn't change. There's too much offensive firepower for LA. There's too much defensive firepower. I'm sorry, Jimmy Garoppolo does not deserve to be in a Super Bowl. He's not good. He doesn't. They're not good offensively. They can barely run the ball. They have a freaking running receiver as their basically leading rusher. Don't get me wrong, Elijah Mitchell's a good guy. But when you're depending on Debo to carry the ball and catch the ball,
Yeah, they lost Raheem Mostert and other running backs at the beginning of the season. Trey Sermon, the rookie at Ohio State, hasn't even gotten a shot to play. I don't know if
he was
hurt.
He was banged up at the beginning of the year. I was tracking that for a while.
Matthew Stafford is such a good quarterback, and he is so good. I think since they lost Robert Woods and they signed OBJ to that 1 year deal, he's kind of came into his own these past few weeks and has lit it up. I think he scored 6 touchdowns.
Yep. I think he's a silent killer today.
And here's another fun fact for you: the Los Angeles Rams could be the first team in NFL history to host the NFC Championship and then to host the Super Bowl.
Yeah, because last year
Tampa was on the road. They had to go to Lambeau.
Yep.
And play the Packers.
Here's my pick. 27-13. Rams get it done. It's not close. The Lions, they're giving San Francisco 3.5 points. I think it's stupid. It should be the other way around. Because they're giving Cincinnati 7.5. I think it should be flip-flopped. Cincinnati's and Kansas City line should be a lot closer than the Rams and the 49ers.
This is a tough one to call. And I mean, it really is. It's tougher to call than the Kansas City-Cincinnati game just because, Mahomes been there, done that.
Mm-hmm.
But a few weeks back, we made Super Bowl picks, and mine was the Rams versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm sticking with it. Rams end their 6-game skid to their in-state rivals, 24-17 Rams. I think they're up 24-10, and San Fran gets some garbage time points. There's always that one surprise team, like, wow, they made it this far every year. And, this year it's the 49ers.
Yeah, I agree. My picks didn't really survive. I had the Rams today in this game. That was only of the 4 I had today in this game. But I think the Rams get it done. Rams and whoever, in my opinion, I want the Bengals to get there. But even Rams-Chiefs, it'll be a heck of a Super Bowl.
I had 3 out of my 4 still. I had the Chiefs and the Bengals still right. But I had Dallas beating the 49ers week 1.
Dude, I thought that...
And then I had Tampa Bay versus Los Angeles.
I gave the trust into the Titans. I thought they were going to get it done. They didn't. So on the heels of Ben Roethlisberger's retirement...
Sounds like Tom Brady's as well. We don't know for sure.
Which I feel bad for Ben because he's not going to get his moment. But I sent Brennan a text midweek and I said, let's change up our segments this week and let's talk about...
Yeah, we were going to do top 10 draft prospects, but we'll say that for next week with...
a little more downtime.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to talk about the top 10 quarterbacks of all time. So I asked him to pick his 10 and to pick 5 honorable mentions. So here's where I'd like to start. Let's
do honorable mentions.
And then we're going to go...
You do your 5, I'll do my 5.
And then we're going to go 10, 10, 9, 9, 8, 8, all the way down the list.
Okay. You just want to do all 5 of your honorable mentions first? All right, cool.
So my 5 honorable mentions are as follows, in reverse order. Joe Namath. Phenomenal quarterback back in the day. It's comparing apples and oranges to now.
That's what we talked about right there before we we hooked up, we got on air.
My number 4, same way, Johnny Unitas. Phenomenal quarterback, hard to compare right now. Number 3. Number 7, Big Ben Roethlisberger. I couldn't break him in. If he won one more championship, I could justify putting him in our top 10. My opinion, my top 10 are game changers that win championships. Number 2, Steve Young. I think Steve was behind Joe Montana too much. He didn't really get to have the spotlight that he deserved.
He played Tampa Bay for a few years too.
He didn't get the chance. If he had a little more, I think he could have been in the top 10. And my number 11, technically sitting right on the outside, is Troy Aikman. Troy Aikman, phenomenal quarterback. It's not enough to crack the top 10. What do you got for honorable mentions?
So my top 10, my honorable mentions. Number 5, I have Ben Roethlisberger. Like you said, if he won another Super Bowl, he would have been in the top 10. Played a different style than a lot of guys do.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, I have Steve Young, Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay.
Like I said, like you just said, sat behind Joe Montana a little too long.
Yep.
Only won 1 Super Bowl. Wish he would have got a second one. He got a second one. He's in the top 10 probably as well.
Agreed.
3, I have Troy Aikman. Great Cowboys teams in the 90s. A lot of those guys carried him. I think Emmitt Smith and Michael Irvin carried him a lot.
Agreed. Still a great quarterback.
Still a great quarterback, though. Number 2, I have Terry Bradshaw, Pittsburgh Steelers. Statistics just aren't there enough for me. And he had Hall of Fame wide receivers and talent all over the place. Stallworth, Swan, Harris, Blyer.
Okay.
And then my number one honorable mention is Aaron Rodgers. I just can't put him in the top 10 yet. And if Patrick Mahomes wasn't so early in his career, I'd put him in my honorable mentions already.
Yeah, it's just too hard to put him in there yet.
So Aaron Rodgers is the last one to end my honorable mentions.
Okay. Let's go in order from 10 to 1 now. Number 10, Dallas Cowboys, Roger Staubach.
Good pick. Good quarterback.
For what he's produced in the
Played
championship.
the Navy for 4 years, too.
Right. The championships he won. What did he win? 3?
2. He won 2. I thought Aikman won 3 for them.
Hold on, I can't type Staubach right now.
I thought it was Staubach won 2 and Aikman won 3.
2, you're right. But he was, MVP, NFL Man of the Year, like you also said. But his overall game, he won the Heisman. The Navy.
The only Navy guy to ever do it.
Yeah.
Probably will be the only Navy guy to ever do it at this day and age.
I just think the battles that they used to have back then, Roger Staubach's my number 10. Who do you got at number 10?
Jim Kelly, Buffalo Bills. 4 straight Super... That's never going to be done again. Actually, no, I lied. There's a shot it could be done again.
Next year?
Patrick Mahomes could tie it next year.
Next year. He had to go.
He's had to go this year. I'm assuming he's going.
Right.
4 straight Super Bowls. I think when they win the first one, I think there's a different outcome. I think they win maybe one of the other 3.
I forgot about Jim Kelly. And
he's from Pittsburgh area.
Okay. Number 9. This is a guy you had on your honorable mentions. I had to do it. Terry Bradshaw. And here's my thing. Yes, was he good for his era? Yes. Did he throw a lot of passing yards? No. But MVP, 2-time Super Bowl MVP, 4-time Super Bowl champion. In my opinion, quarterbacks got to win championships or have phenomenal stat lines elsewhere. It's not your fault if there's no players around you.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I put him at number 9. What do you got at number 9?
The guy you had at number 10, Roger Staubach.
Okay.
So that's who I rounded out number 9 with. Who do you got at 8?
Aaron Rodgers. I had to do it. He's had a phenomenal...
I get why you have to do it. I'm not an Aaron Rodgers fan by any means.
I am a little bit. Yes, he can't get over that hump. But his statistics right now are up there. I don't remember exactly where he is in terms of passing yards. But I'm going to look it up as we talk. He's got to be up there all time. He's thrown... Okay, so 55,000. What is that in terms of all-time NFL passing yards?
I think Brady has 84, 85, somewhere right around that.
Let me see. That sits him at number 10 overall. Eli Manning and Matt Ryan are above him, but...
He's probably going to pass at least Eli Manning up.
He's got...
Because Matt Ryan's a little bit younger than him.
Yeah, he could pass Matt Ryan, maybe. He's got to play a couple more seasons. Matt's got 4,000 yards on him right now. Eli's only got 1,600, so he'll pass.
Well, that's what Ryan gets, because Ryan didn't have to sit for years. He came in and had his...
Right, Aaron had to sit for years. And you got to remember that. How many years he sat behind Brett Favre?
Was it 3?
3 or 4, yeah. What do you got for number 8?
Number 8, Johnny Unitas, Indianapolis Colts, San Diego Chargers.
Okay.
Good quarterback for his time. He was actually once a Steeler. I think they cut him.
They did.
If I remember right.
They did.
Outstanding quarterback for his era.
Agreed. It's hard. It's comparing apples and oranges because of the eras.
Mm-hmm.
Number 7. John Elway.
Absolutely. That's why I'm on number 7 as well.
Phenomenal quarterback.
And he played a lot of Super Bowls. A lot of Super Bowls.
Mm-hmm.
And, he managed to win 2, his last 2 seasons in the league and go back-to-back. One of the last teams to do it.
I just think he's one of the best. One of the best. So, number 6.
I have one of his rivals at number 6 he played against for a long time.
Dan Marino.
No.
Brett
Another
Favre.
one, yeah.
My number 6 was Drew Brees.
Drew Brees, good pick.
think...
I give him a little more credit where credit's due. I think he got stuck.
I couldn't. The only reason was he couldn't... it was like Aaron Rodgers. He's better, but he didn't win the championships, in my opinion.
Yeah, he won that one and probably should have got to a second one, but...
Because my number 5, I think, if he was in Drew Brees' era, he would have thrown for more yards than Drew Brees. Number 5, from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Dan Marino. I think Dan Marino, on a better team in this era, we'd be talking about like Tom Brady would.
Probably. That's like I said, 6, I have Brett Favre. 5,
I'm sorry, I skipped through 6.
You're good. No, you're good. I said it, and then...
Yeah.
Me too. So 6, I have Brett Favre. 5, I have Drew Brees.
Yeah.
And you know what? Phenomenal for New Orleans. Got them to a couple NFC Championship games. His first year in New Orleans, they played in the NFC Championship game.
He did, yeah. And
the Chicago Bears.
And they let him go out of the Chargers because he was having a shoulder issue, right?
And
they said he wasn't able to play again.
When he went into free agency, there was 2 teams on him.
Dolphins?
Miami Dolphins.
Saints.
And the New Orleans Saints.
Yep.
And the Dolphins called him last minute and said, we're going to roll the dice with Dante Culpepper.
I remember that, yeah.
What jackasses.
Stupid. All right, what do you got for number 4?
Number 4 from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
So Dan
the Man Marino.
That was hard for me. My 4, 5, 6 were hard. They were interchangeable. I took number 4, Brett Favre. I mean, phenomenal quarterback. Had his issues with interceptions, but I remember that game where, wasn't it on Monday night where his dad died?
3 or 4 touchdowns or something?
Came out and just balled out. He was a very, in my opinion, underrated for what he deserved.
Let's talk about this for a moment. Imagine you're a Green Bay Packers fan. For 30 years, you had a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Favre, not Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
You have 2 Super Bowls out of that.
That's what sucks.
That's
on the franchise, though. It's not on the quarterbacks, in my opinion. They're not putting the teams around them. I mean, Aaron's like Tom Brady in a way that he can transform receivers, but he's not... Can't do everything.
I think our 1, 2, or 3 are all the same.
They are interchangeable. They're not in the same order, though. Number 3. From Monongahela, Pennsylvania, I took Joey Montana. I struggled with 2 and 3 here. I really did. Because number 3 won more championships than number 2 did. Mm-hmm. But, in my opinion, number 3 had a better receiver than number 2 did. When you're throwing the ball to Jerry Rice. Right? No.
Yeah, but you have 3. You have Joe Montana.
Did Jerry play with Joe? Or am I stupid?
No, Jerry played with Joe. Jerry played like 24 years.
Not a lot with Joe. He was more with Steve. Right?
Jerry won... I think Jerry ended up winning 3 Super Bowls. If I remember right.
Yeah, he played a little bit. You're right. He played with Joe. My fault. I don't know why I was blanking. But, I mean, you look at Joe Montana. How many Super Bowls he won? The amount of games that man played. I think the stupidest thing he was leaving and going to Kansas City.
Well, that wasn't on him. You know, they brought in Steve Young, and, they were like...
I know, they wanted to go young.
It's time.
Yep.
Goes to Kansas City. I think he took him to an AFC Championship game.
He did, I believe, yeah.
I can't remember.
I mean, 4 Super Bowl wins, 3 MVPs, 2 MVPs in the NFL, Player of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, 8 Pro Bowls. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Doesn't have as many passing yards. He only had 40,000, but...
Hey, mind you, he played, what was it, in the 80s?
In the 80s, where you weren't throwing the ball all over the yard. It was a ground and pound.
It was ground and pound, stifling defense, run to set up the pass.
You got the moments with him, too, like the whole catch, and the 92-yard Super Bowl winning drive against the Bengals. So, it was hard, but I took him at number 3.
My number 3, the Sheriff.
Peyton
Manning. The reason I have Peyton below Joe is Peyton had 2 Hall of Fame wide receivers.
Who's the second one?
Reggie Wayne. Not in the Hall of Fame
I always forget about Reggie.
Not in the Hall of Fame yet. And Reggie played with Andrew Luck for a little while, too.
Yeah.
good. He had Edgar and James.
Yep.
And then, the running game kind of died off for them. Didn't really always have the great defense until the years he won the Super Bowl. I think Peyton Manning had great offenses around him, but just could never manage to get it done. They were always running into Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, teams like that, and that's why they lost games.
Yeah, I mean, he won 2 Super Bowls. Still, I mean, it's similar to like the Colts. Is like if you're a fan of the Colts and you're sitting there like, man, we can't get things done. Well, it's because of Tom Brady. It wasn't because of.
And that's the same thing that
Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre. Tom wasn't really a factor yet, and they're on the opposite side. So like, the Green Bay wasn't getting to the Super Bowl. They weren't getting over the championship humps.
That's it. Green Bay wasn't even getting. Then they started having the Russell Wilson problem.
Right.
And then, but
the reason why I picked Peyton Manning as my number 2 is for his comeback. Coming back off that neck injury, even though he didn't play that well, still won a Super Bowl. I
mean, he played for Denver for 4 years?
Yeah.
I mean, look at his touchdown totals. 1 year he threw 39, 1 year he threw 55. Mm-hmm. His last year, everyone was going to say he stayed a year too long. If he didn't stay that year too long, guess what? He wouldn't have that second Super Bowl ring.
Right.
And then we're probably talking about New England having 7 rings.
Probably 10.
Disgusting. If he wouldn't have played for Denver that last year. But Peyton Manning, 3 for me. Joey Montana, number 2.
And number 1.
GOAT.
Has to.
Tom Brady.
Has to be.
I mean, you can't even put his career into words besides phenomenal. I mean, made losers, winners. Guys you never even heard. Julian Edelman, Deion Branch,
that's what I'm saying.
Wes Welker.
It's sad because name me a Pro Bowl receiver truly other than Randy Moss that he played with.
You can't.
You can't.
Later in their career, they brought the tight ends in and Hernandez and Gronkowski. But I
never had a good running back.
Early in his career, it was the ground and pound. I mean, you had Troy Brown, but I mean that's not even a household name.
No, he was the guy that transformed the Joe Schmoes into phenomenal receivers, into phenomenal running backs.
Have you watched Man in the Arena yet?
No, where's that on? I saw you post it.
ESPN Plus. Do you have it?
I don't know if technically I probably do because I have it through. Do I have ESPN Plus if I can watch games on my phone?
I'm not sure, but I know sometimes you can set that up with like your cable company or whatever. They can have Comcast or DirecTV.
Yeah, I may not have ESPN Plus, but
I definitely get like the 10-day free trial or whatever.
Is there a free trial out there?
I think there is. Do you have Disney Plus?
Yeah.
Do you have Hulu Plus?
No.
I'd see if you can do the bundle. Because that's how we have it at home, just because it was cheaper that way to get all 3 of them. Well, I watched Man in the Arena. Definitely worth the watch. I think there's 9 episodes out right now.
Okay.
I watched all 9. All about Tom Brady. He has some guests on there too, like Giselle's in one episode, Michael Strahan's in an episode.
I need a new series to watch. So
they're all hour episodes long, give or take.
Yeah.
Great show. If you're really a diehard football fan, I'd highly recommend watching it, even if you're not a Brady fan like I am. But yeah, Tom, number 1. And when you said something about making this list, I was going to text you and say, we're not including Brady. Because you know why? It's not even fair.
I know.
But, hey, winning's winning. I don't care if you do it by 1 point or 1,000 points.
He wins.
Winning is winning.
He wins games. All right, so to recap today, we are going to get this out for the conference championship games and get ready for next week. Next week's going to be kind of a slower week because we're going to just recap the conference championships and fill in some things. Might have some high school things we can slowly start talking about maybe, or add some college things in there.
We'll talk about how the Pro Bowl is a waste of a game from now on.
I agreed.
And how it shouldn't even be played.
We might be able to talk about hopefully Ohio State comes with a big upset victory today against number 6 Purdue. Big game, especially for my brother or my sister's fiance because he's a big Purdue fan. So
that is alma mater.
That is alma mater. Yeah, big game at noon. Can't wait to watch that one today. But for Brennan and for Dave, we hope you enjoyed episode number 7 today. We're going to nickname it Top 10 NFL Quarterbacks of All Time. It's a good
Sounds good to me.
So, we'll see you all next week. See you later.
All right. Have a good weekend, Dave.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you do not already, please make sure you go and follow us on Facebook at Limitless Sports with Brennan and Dave. And hopefully, we can get our Apple Podcasts up soon, so that will also be on Apple Podcasts. But you can find us on Dave's YouTube channel just by searching Limitless Sports with the hashtag, and go ahead and create more followers for us and more subscribers. Hope you enjoy.